looking for superpowers, which, by the way, are in the third eye. Um, and I choose to use these abilities to help bring extra information to the table so that you can make better business decisions. This is a business chat. The Buddha said that the basis for human anguish was ignorance. Basically, he was saying it's a lack of information. And in the society that we live in, we have been restricted dramatically, unfairly, in terms of information about the other dimensions. Our scientists say that there are between 11 and 20 dimensions. They know that there are 11, but there's probably 20. The scientists that we respect the most, the quantum physicists, that's what their work is all about. And yet, all of our laws, our beliefs, our habits revolve around dimensions that have to do with the physical. In terms of business in this country, the United States, which is where I was going to say channeling at. I don't do channeling. Interesting. Where my channel is at on X, Twitter, and Facebook, etc. There's a statement that is very interesting that we all need to remember. The economy is good as long as there's market confidence. Everything's fine. What is market confidence? It's a concept. It's an energy. It's not physical, and it doesn't have to do with how much gold is put away backing the dollar or how much business has gone up or gone down. It has to do with faith, a confidence that even if we're stumbling, it's going to be fine in the end. That's been the basis that has held together our business. And in this country, we've been very optimistic, very arrogant, not really making a lot of provisions for a rainy day. And we don't have market confidence. When you look at what everybody's saying, how angry everybody is about everything and anything, you can't go from that and say, yes, I believe in this economy, when you don't really believe in the system. Now, there is a change of paradigm. So everything is collapsing because there's a shift. We're leaving a paradigm behind and going into a new one. So this is a very messy time. But if you don't have any information about what's going on in the other dimensions, then basically you are very handicapped. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you information that you could say that this mini chat that I'm giving is disorganized. Such as once when my children watched me speak on other dimensions many years ago. And it went extremely well. And my kids walked out and said, oh, everybody really liked that. But Mom, you're a little bit disorganized. So what I did was the next time I organized myself, and it was nowhere near as good. So disorder is very much creativity. Now, if you have too much disorder, then you go into chaos. And a lot of times that's why people that are creative really need a lot of people around them to be creating order on the physical dimension. But anyway, that's not where we're going now. Right now, where we're going is just some extra information about what's going on in the planet today, in the other dimensions, that might help you to make decisions. There's been a frequency shift on the planet that happened around the 15th of October. When I did a chat, and my followers sent me photographs of themselves or their kids or their mates, whatever, and I did a chat in which I held up the picture with the face blacked out, even though they didn't seem to care that everybody would know about it. And I asked, what would the frequency shift that happened on the entire planet Earth around the 15th of October, in other words, 3 weeks ago, how is it going to manifest in this person? And I think it was almost without exception, and maybe there were 20 people, I think almost without exception, it had to do with the person becoming aware of stuff that they had done that was not quite so beautiful, so pleasant, so wonderful, so admirable. Something that they had done bad as a child or whenever, but mainly as a child or a teenager. They were remembering now. They had put that memory away because it was so traumatic to them this that they had done that was not nice. What's interesting is that we are in revelations. So all of this stuff inside of our mind, which is in every inch of our body and also 18 inches out, all of that, a good percentage of it is repressed in our tissues. And later on, we get a disease. Like if you have repressed anger plus impotence, you get cancer. And if you have a problem with too much anger, which is fire, then your liver can get bad. And if you have a broken heart because you lost a loved one, then you can have heart disease. It's a pretty simple, the correlations, and that was done hundreds of years ago in Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. So I'm actually struggling a little bit here because I think somebody is doing some kind of frequency attack on me now. So it's kind of like pushing my head to the side, and I have to struggle back to get back to center. And this is one of the things that I am not really allowed to talk about, but I can tell you that we're all having to deal with. That frequencies and vibes are very real, and there's some great frequencies, such as the music videos that we do that include sensory therapy, images, sounds, and they're very healing. And then there's other frequencies, such as the sound of microwave, which you cannot hear, your dog can. You can't hear. It's very damaging to the human mind. So there's different frequencies, and people have learned to manage those frequencies and to use them and weaponize them, which is I love that expression. They weaponized frequencies. And we're finding out more and more that the frequency we listen to the most, which is, I believe, 440, is actually, there was a choice for another frequency that's much more healing. And the choice was to go with 440. I don't know anything about music. And that we really need to get back to the frequencies that are healing rather than the frequencies that leave us anxious. So around the 15th, there was a frequency shift on the entire planet. And when I did my research on live people with them verifying whatever, what the big shift was, that they individually remembered stuff that they had done as a person, and it was really, really bothering them. Some were going into depressions, some were just shutting down completely. The fascinating part about this is that I believe it was in 2012, there was some stones found, Mayan stones, that had to do with, it was called the Tortuguera prophecy. And in it, it was talking about end times, these times now. And it said that at the end of the end, which is where we're at now, that people would start to remember revelations. They would start to remember things that they had done as a child, as a young person, some people even in previous lives, and that they would feel really bad. And that these memories, these traumas, had been put into what are called subpersonalities. I guess that's what the therapists used to call multiple personalities, that the person dragged around with them. But now with revelations, all those veils coming up, particularly the one around the 15th of October, people are now able to remember something that they did that they had worked really hard to not remember, to repress, to walk away from, except they dragged it with them. And at this point, the Mayans said this would come up and that it would create total chaos in society. I have told everybody that follows me that they need to discuss this openly with their family and say, listen, you maybe remember ugly stuff that you did when you were young, but we are dual. Humans we're light, we're dark. We're not just light. And we're not just light fighting off dark. We're light and dark within us. And from there, we make choices. And yes, we reject dark, but it's part of us. There has to be some kind of a coming together and acceptance that we are both things. And there's not. And our religions have certainly not taught us that. On the contrary, slap your hand if you're not a good person. Do a rosary. Go to confession. Know that you're just not a good person. And having done that, they basically set us up for what the Mayans seem to feel might be like a huge, if not the biggest factor now in making people lose their grip on reality because they can't tolerate seeing that about themselves. So it was very firmly established within the first 5 sketches that I did of people's auras that that was what they were dealing with, and that was something I've been talking about, the Tortuguera prophecy. So let's talk about the frequency, like, of the United States. Today on X, Twitter, there was a little video, and it was a photograph, a video of the United States, the map, and it was showing how the indigenous American Indians lost their lands. And it kept moving west and moving west and moving west, and then it moved southwest, and then there was this much left of indigenous lands. Now, yes, American Indians are and they're secretive. They also have astral bodies, which is your emotional body. The definition of emotion is to move out. They don't move out emotions. Just like the Inca, they don't move them out. We move them out to a certain extent, not enough in other cases. So where did that emotion of rage, of the unfairness go? Into the land. That's why it's said, and if somebody ever finds this on the internet again, because I don't know where I found it, the map of the cradle of civilization is also the map of the cradle of volcanology. Wherever there was civilization, there's volcanoes. What are volcanoes? A retention of excess fire on the planet. So you have a civilization, and everybody's civilized, which means the truth is repressed. It's not said, it's not processed, it's swallowed. Mother Earth picks it up, and after who knows how many hundreds of years, Mother Earth can't take it anymore and releases it as a volcano. So a volcano is actually a really positive thing on planet Earth. Not for the people that are living at that point, at that time. But I look at planet Earth, and you need to start doing that with a wider lens. It's good for planet Earth. There is no longer a festering wound. It just cleared, like a pimple that gets popped. In New York City in 9/11, everybody ran around being helpful. And nobody took the time to process how they felt about what was done to us on 9/11. Forget the political rhetoric. So on 9/20, I'm running around Miami in my car, and I'm getting a panic attack. This is after 9/11, 9 days after 9/11. And I went, okay, let me calm down and find out, what am I panicking about? And it turned out that I was panicking about the fact that there was a new fault line that formed underneath New York City, and I believe went all the way to London. A new fault line. So I said, and I put it on my website, and I think I actually said it also on Univision News, that there was a potential for an earthquake epicenter in New York City due to repressed rage being held by Mother Earth. And that perhaps it was a bit much because of that fault line that I knew had formed. Several years later, by the way, 10, 15 years later, it did come out in science that there was a new fault line underneath New York. So I got my validation. So on 10/20/2001, there was an earthquake with an epicenter in New York City, as I had said. And I had said it would be 4 to 6 weeks after 9/20, because first the earth broke. It wasn't 9/11. It was when the earth couldn't take it any longer, and there was a break, a new fault line. And then after that, the potential for an earthquake, which we had. And when I looked at the previous earthquake, it was even more interesting. Previously, because I said New York City's never had an earthquake, epicenter New York, it did. 6 weeks after the decision of the Gore-Bush presidential election. That was a lot of people in a rage, but we're so civilized. We are so civilized. So, I mean, how civilized are we really? So apply that to your business. What trauma has there been in your business that you really need to clear? Because you see, all of that can be cleared. That's what the group who follow the Mantrista movement, that's what we're doing now every night, Monday through Friday, clearing repressed emotions, plus repressed black magic, plus hidden black magic that has been placed in the Mideast, which is that's the area that we're clearing, by galactic beings. So this whole repression thing and this whole earth thing is extremely important. But going back to your business, you may have heard this if you've listened to enough of my chats. I was called from a business and told that one of the people there, um, a very close relative, had died. And she got the phone call in the main, where the main phone was. She picked it up. They told her, she started to scream. She fainted. She cried. Everybody rushed there. Oh my God. So, anyway, I was told this because I actually knew the family. And so I went, oh my God, how horrible. Okay. So I hung up. And then 10 minutes later, I called back and I said, listen, you now have a portal over your front desk. That's where she took the phone call, right? And they went, yes, we called her to the front desk because we didn't want her to take the call in the back and be by herself. I said, well, your portal was open there by that excess emotion. I said, and guess what? I'm not going to clear it. So you bring out those music videos. At that point, we had some Buddhist monks purification chants. I said, and do the crystal bowl, and everybody do a mantra and get that cleared. Because if not, being at your front desk, which is where you do all your receipts, it's going to affect the business. And I'm not taking care of it. You guys do the work. So 2 days later, I checked and they had closed the portal. So their destiny would have changed due to one phone call, which opened a door to hell. Frequency. Change the frequency. That door to hell allows this new frequency to enter because of the issue. And the frequency of the place changes. Many times I'm working with people and I'm doing an analysis on their homes. And too many times they'll say, what on earth happened in this room? This is your prosperity section. And it really is just a massive depression there in spirits. And most of the time I'm told, oh, my mother-in-law that was her room for 2 years when she had cancer and she finally died. So that the frequency of that entire home drops because of the type of activities that's in that room that are never purified. That's the point. And then that part of the home corresponds to prosperity. So you have an injury to your prosperity due to a drop in frequency, due to not purifying what are really normal life events. Many of us have had people that have been ill and have been with us until they passed. The trick is you cannot just recycle. The windows have to be opened. There needs to be sound, activity, smells that will bring the frequency back to what it should have been, could have been, or was before a sick person's frequency took over the room. In terms of your business, I've analyzed several businesses in which I have said, you have the potential for a lot of losses at the back door. And they'll say, somebody's stealing now? We have cameras. I said, no, I don't see anybody stealing now, but have there been entirely too many times that you've lost things through the back door? And they will go, yeah, we had a robbery and it was the back door. That's how they came in. They never cleared that trauma because it's also a trauma for the place, for the door, for the wall. Everything has consciousness, and science calls it panpsychism. Okay. That's what they call it. In terms of panpsychism, that area in that back door, the wall, right inside, has a trauma because it was broken in. And the thieves that were breaking in were probably very hyper or semi-hysterical at the fear, whatever. And then the rage of the owners when they came back to find out that somebody had taken out machinery and whatever through the back door. So you can have a place and different areas will have a different frequency. I remember analyzing an office. It was very successful, and I remember going around, and then I indicated an office that really, whoa, low frequency. And it turned out it was the accountant's office. But the company didn't have troubles, from what I was told. I'd never asked to look at that stuff. The issue was that the accountant was a worrywart and wanted everything perfect and couldn't get everybody to perform at that level of perfection. So it was a lot of her personality that was creating the issues, but it didn't really matter. And not a coincidence that that office was actually in the prosperity section of that company. So you have a low frequency due to a personality trait of somebody that's actually working on the books because of where the office is located on the Bagua map. By the way, the discovery I made about the mind-body connection is also the mind-environment connection, which usually is your home or your office. So if you read our book, Creation, From Victim to Master, it's up on Amazon. The front cover is a map of the connection between you and your spaces. And from there you can go, oh, I know there's an area of my life that has always been iffy. And every time I move, that area in the place where I move is one of the bathrooms. Okay. So there's two ways to look at it. Don't get that house, too much of a coincidence. And the other way is you don't have a problem unless you need it. So why would I always get homes with bathrooms in the area of this iffy area in my life? Because I needed to work more on that. So let's go into that thing that you need to know about the other dimensions. You do not have a problem that you do not need. And you can say, well, that's great. You know what? And I know we learn from problems, but you do not have a problem that you don't need. And that includes black magic. When I started working with the public, I worked mainly with business. I worked with sick people, and then I worked with business people, sick kids, and then business people. What an incredible combination. And I really didn't believe in black magic at that time. I didn't know. I didn't believe. I thought that it could only bother you if you actually believed in it. And if you didn't believe in it, well, not for nothing that people that built the pyramids and all those big structures and achieved things that we haven't achieved yet, they all dealt with black magic every step of the way in their homes, in their birth, in the death, burials, the whole nine yards. Believe me. So I'm getting all of these male clients, mainly from the country of Colombia, because of where my office was located. And so many times, the information I would get was somebody had done black magic on them, like, say, 20 years ago. Well, I didn't even believe in black magic, but I am really well trained. Your belief system has nothing to do with being a good psychic. You want to be really good and help people, then you need to get your belief systems, put them away. What they taught you about religion, put it away. What you learned at school, you put it away. You are supposed to be just pure information. So pure information, I'm picking up that this guy, they did black magic on him 20 years ago. And I say it because that's also another obligation. Why would I hide things? If I hide it, how can you take care of it? So, and they always said, that was when my father died, and that's when everything went south. It was like everything happened at once. And then the next person, well, you had black magic about 12 years ago. Oh my God, yeah, that's when I decided I had to leave my country. It was just like it got so bad. A lot of validation. So I was in the whole thing of, okay, so I don't even believe in it. Now I got to believe in it because why on earth would I lie? And they're validating. So now how do we fix this? So I did all sorts of things working with Mexican shamans, and I always have worked very closely with Buddhist monks. So I had a particular monk in particular that I was very close to, and I would say, okay, I have this client with this problem, take care of it, and we'll give you a donation. And I would say no. Now, Buddhist monks never say no. So I'm like, no, I don't get it. And they said, no, he needs the problem. And I'm like, how could he need this problem? Why? No, why would he need this? And of course, they don't talk. So I never got, and any time that I presented them with the opportunity to help me out for a donation and help this client, no. So when there is black magic, you need it. Why would there be? Why would that be? Because you can't have black magic land on you and do something to you unless you are broken. If you're very prosperous and have always been, your family's okay, and somebody does black magic on you to take away your prosperity, chances are that black magic is just going to kind of like roll off, disappear, whatever it happens, if it doesn't hook or come in. Come in, that's the word. Now, if they do black magic having to do with your marriage and your parents divorced and you don't think that mates can ever possibly be faithful for the entire duration of the marriage, they can do black magic on your relationship, your marriage, and it will hit you because you are broken in that area. So if anybody ever tells you somebody did black magic, then you have to look at it and say, okay, what's broken in me that allowed for this to come in? And having black magic on you and not taking care of it is also something having to do with vibration. You have the vibration of being cursed, which means you're going to get more black magic. And I guess it also means that, hey, you didn't listen and there's something you need to deal with the first time, you're going to get more of it. And that applies to me. I've had many, many enemies. It's like, why on earth would I have needed that level of, and I have figured them all out and understood, accepted, and worked on why it was that I would have needed that. Why did I need the misery of being a mind control victim? Because that's where I learned all this stuff. That's why I got set up to do my mission. So yeah, I needed it because I chose it, because I needed it in order to reach this level of understanding. So, lightly touching on the subject of the new model, new paradigm on planet Earth. Elon is an example of the new paradigm. He is superhero, okay? New paradigm. He can cover more bases than it's not possible. It's just not possible. But he does it. He is a man of this new golden age era where they can create miracles at will, simply because that's what it is that they want. An example of the new paradigm. And I'm not sure that somebody that's a lot older can get into that frequency of magic, superpowers, incredible level of compassion, and an incredible ability to cover so much that it's not almost like not possible for a human being to do this. It's really the new human beings. So it's very interesting and difficult to live at a time that is unlike anything that planet Earth has experienced before. And this is a time in which we're supposedly being integrated with the galactic community, whatever it is that that means. So your belief systems also having to do with change, new business model, a new way of doing things, particularly your way of viewing community and compassion as applied to big business, that attitude is going to make a huge difference from here forth. So with that, I'm going to end, and thank you for joining me. I'm Frances Fox.